Hello everyone, my name is Urvil and I'm an IELTS trainer. Today we're going to talk about IELTS counseling. I believe that a lot of students are taking IELTS and just because they're not getting good bands, they're getting depressed. There have been a lot of questions about how they can overcome depression. So I thought let me make a video about IELTS counseling wherein I can guide students and help them understand where they stand. Okay? Before we begin, a little bit about IELTS 8777. In IELTS 8777, we have really qualified coaches. All the tutors are trained in teaching as well as they have scored good bands in IELTS. Eventually, we know how you feel because we have been in your place. That is the most important factor that we have. We believe we are more of students and less of tutors because that's how we can relate with each and every students personally. We understand the endeavor, we understand the pain you are going through to get to your required scores, and we will teach you the methods that we implemented and how we scored good bands, and we'll tell you all the tips, tricks, techniques and methods about how you can overcome the depression as well. All right, so let's go ahead. See, with the counseling part, the first and foremost thing you should know is you need to understand where you stand. We'll be talking about myths about IELTS, preparing for IELTS, overcoming depression, and we'll be open to questions, but then that's something you just have to post in our comment section. So before you jump into the IELTS wagon, these are some things that you need to look into. The first and foremost is your finances. You either need to have sufficient finances to show it to the authorities when it's time for your visa process, or at least you need to be aware how you're going to arrange your finances. Sometimes I see some students asking for help, saying that they do not have enough money to get a trainer, and if you do not have sufficient amount of money to get a trainer or to get good material, the question is, how are you going to show the required finances to the authorities when you're putting up your file? So if you do not have sufficient finances, that's the first thing you need to figure out, and that's where you need to start with. Either you should have the finances, or either you should know how you're going to arrange the finances. Then you need to have a rough calculation of your CRS score. For instance, you need to calculate things like work education, your work experience, your education qualifications, your age, and what is your rough score if you get 8777 or maybe less or more IELTS band score. So that will give you some idea about your CRS calculation if you're aiming for Canada, to know where you stand. If you have good amount of IELTS score, a CRS score with us, let's say 8777, then you should definitely go for it, but you should have a rough idea of your CRS score before you begin. So another thing is skills in the English language. A lot of people, several people, and I'm sorry I'm saying a lot of people because that's what comes into my mind, because I've been looking at so many aspirants online, and I think around half of them maybe are not having their basics cleared. So you need to understand where you stand when it comes to the English language. You should try to practice the mock test at your place and see what is your average score. What are you getting on an average in listening and reading? As far as your speaking and writing are concerned, you need to at least have some consultation with a mentor. Somebody can tell you where you stand. Another thing is passport expiry date. So you can't be going for IELTS and you can't have a passport which is going to be expired in maybe let's say 5 to 6 months or maybe a year, because when you give your IELTS examination, you would be and when you apply for your visa application, you would be on a standby for maybe 1 or 2 years. So you want to make sure you check your passport for the expiry date. There is a thin line between optimism and stupidity. I say this because from my own experience, I've seen that there are so many aspirants who are trying to aim at 8777 but they think that they can get it through self-training. There are very few people who can. There are very few students who can. It's not that you cannot, but as I said, you have to gauge yourself and then figure out. You can't be over optimistic, or you can't be under optimistic. You should be making sound decisions. We'll be looking into some of the myths about IELTS. So when it comes to myths and misconceptions about IELTS, students think that they cannot get 8 and above in their first attempt. That's not the fact. A lot of students do. It depends on your language skills, and you need to understand what are the examiners looking for. Second is, giving multiple attempts can increase your score. So if you're giving repetitive attempts, it doesn't mean you're going to get more bands. Your band score depends upon the quality of your IELTS approach. It does not depend on the number of attempts. A lot of time students fail at getting a 777, and the day they get the result and they see that they have not got their required score, they book another date, which is just like a week or 2 weeks away, and they try to take another plunge at it. But the point is, you cannot get good score unless until you do the practice right, unless until you understand what the examiners are looking for. So even if you're giving n number of attempts, it doesn't matter. You need to make sure you improve the quality of your attempts rather than jumping into multiple attempts. There is a comparison. A lot of times I've seen students discussing which one is better, IDP or British Council. IDP and British councils are just bodies who are conducting IELTS examination, and they follow a set standard. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. You can choose either of it. It's not going to make any difference in your scores. As I said, it depends upon your approach, the quality of approach you have in the IELTS examinations. You can get IELTS certificate without giving the exam. I've seen several fake spam IDs commenting in so many groups saying that you can get a free certificate without giving the examination. I hope you are listening to this. Please do not believe this. This is just a scam. You might be duped of your money. Moreover, when you are putting up your application file either for a student visa or for a PR, the authorities will know whether you're taken IELTS or not. And if they find out that you've submitted a fake certificate, you're most likely gonna get blacklisted. So please make sure you do not do this. Do not cheat the authorities. All right. Taking an examination from a different city or center can help you get good bands. This is again a myth. Nothing like this can happen. IELTS has a set standard, so just going to a different city or center does not change anything. Most likely the only thing that you might be changing is the dates. Maybe in another city, whether it's like, let's say you're not getting your required dates in your city, maybe you can get in another city. So that can happen, but your results doesn't change. Your results are still dependent upon how well you're performing. Writing or speaking more will help you get more bands. No, it does not. If you write more or less, it's like, obviously when it comes to writing, there is a minimum word limit. So you have to minimum write like 250 words for the essay and 150 for a graph or a letter. But let's say there are some students who keep on writing. They're writing like 350 or 400 words as well. I've seen some videos wherein the tutors are commenting that students can. I know that there is no upper word limit, but you want to make sure you write in a way that it's around 280 to 290, and you can check proofread later on to make sure you correct your mistakes. And you know, when you write more, I wonder if you're writing more ideas, because if you become repetitive, you're not on the right track. The same goes for speaking. When you're given a topic, when you ask a question, are you talking at about that particular question, or are you repeating yourself at some points? Like say if there is a cue card and if you are given a topic to speak for 2 minutes, how many new ideas are you bringing up? Make sure you don't repeat yourself. So either of that, writing or speaking more, cannot help you. Just want to make sure you stick to the minimum word limit in writing. As far as speaking and writing both are concerned, you want to make sure you are creative, you're using good vocabulary, you're using good sentences, and only then you can get good bands. Accent. I've seen some students trying to develop accent. I think developing accent is a very good thing. You should do it if you can, but your score does not depend on the accent. It depends upon the pronunciation, the vocabulary, and the sentences you use, but it does not depend on your accent. So if an IELTS examiner is asking you some question, and let's say you have an accent, but you cannot answer that question clearly, or you are not answering that question to the point, you are in trouble. So you want to make sure you listen to the answer properly and you answer to the point, have proper pronunciations, use good vocabulary. How you should be preparing for IELTS. When you're planning to take IELTS, you have to remember you are on a mission. You need to have a schedule. Make sure you practice frequently. You need to look into where you made mistakes. Again, when we say that you need to practice, this does not mean you need to push yourself over the limits. I've seen some aspirants practicing hours and hours, and they think that just because they're going to give more hours to their practice, that will help them. But you have to understand your limits. If you feel that you're losing concentration, you need to stop, you need to take a break, and just make sure that your practice has quality. You need to make sure you write on latest topics just to make sure you're used to it. You need to have good LR, which is lexical resources, and just make sure you go through all the topics of the recent examination in both writing and speaking. You need to talk with your coach and follow their guidelines. They are the best to help you. And when we talk about coaches, when we talk about mentors, we have made it very specific that we need 2 things. Now at IELTS 8777, we have these 2 things in our tutors. The first and foremost is your mentor needs to be a qualified trainer. They should know how to train the candidates. And second is the trainers themselves should have 8 and above bands in IELTS. It's pretty clear, isn't it? Like, if you have a trainer who hasn't given IELTS, then how are they going to help you? That's one of the things I wonder, because if there is a trainer who's training other students in IELTS, and if they have not been a student themselves, if they have not been in the examination hall, if they did not write an essay in 40 minutes, if they did not attend a real examination in LRW or speaking, how can they actually help you? I don't know, because we have to understand IELTS is not just about English. Obviously, it's the English language test, but it's also an examination of your mindset, because you need to perform certain tasks in the given time frame in a pressurized environment, and hence I think you should be looking for these 2 things in your mentor. You should ask your mentors about their IELTS qualification, their IELTS certificate. I only figure that the only thing I would give more weightage is their IELTS certificate and nothing, and their training skills, nothing else. I don't mind anything, I don't take into consideration anything else apart from these 2 things. This is my personal opinion. You can choose yours, but I think I'm not asking for more. If there are trainers who are training other students in IELTS, then they should have given IELTS themselves, so that they can prove it to other students that they are leaders. There is a specific reason why I'm specifying that a trainer needs this 2 specific qualification, like they should know how to teach, and they should have 8 and above bands in IELTS. This is because I had been in touch with some of my friends who had taken IELTS and they scored like 8 and above, and I was very sure that they would be able to help me out. and obviously they would not turn me down, but they tried to teach me, but they were unable to pass on the elixir that was required. I felt that they failed in teaching me whatever they want to, because their educational background was really good. Now I'm talking about type 1 students. If you haven't watched the video about the types of students in IELTS, I recommend you watch it. It's in our channel. So they were type 1 students, and they were really good with their language skills. However, the problem is they didn't know how to teach. So just because somebody has 8 and above bands in IELTS doesn't make them qualified trainer. So that is the reason why I'm saying there should be these are the two important things you need to look into when you're looking for an IELTS trainer. At IELTS 8777, we have trainers who have these two specific qualifications. They know how to teach and they've got 8 and above bands. And if you are interested in our coaching, just make sure ping us and let us know what your requirements are. But eventually, even if you don't want to go with us, you can check other tutors and make sure you look for these two things if you are serious about getting 8777. Practice your speaking with your mentor, and make sure you have a good speaking partner. I understand that you need somebody to speak to, and in order to do that, a lot of aspirants are asking on online sites that they need a speaking partner. But let's say you do find a speaking partner who's not as good or is not good at all, you're probably wasting your time. So if you're planning to go abroad, then you should not be wasting your time with random speaking partners. You should probably get a good coach who can help you out. You need to make sure you practice your listening, reading and writing frequently. At least we have a schedule posted on our social media, so I think you should refer to that. Don't just read your essays, letter graphs, but also start writing them. Several students are reading so many essays and letters and graphs, but let's understand one thing, that just because you read something doesn't mean that you can write equally well. Because I've been reading so many books, but then I'm not an author of a book. So if you read essays, letters and graphs, it's good. It gives you a lot of ideas. So you need to practice them in order to achieve good skills. Reading cannot help you as much. You need to write as well. If you're not getting good amount of bands in IELTS, if you are given multiple attempts, I am sure that you can understand the depression part. I have felt that being a student. And when you want to understand why you're not getting good bands, you have to understand where you lack at. Now, there is a reason why you're not getting good bands. So you have to understand that there's something that you're missing. You have to figure out what that thing is. Most of the students that we get at IELTS 8777 are the students who have failed at least once or twice, mostly because they realize that they lack at something. They're getting 6 or 6.5 in writing, or maybe 6 or 6.5 in speaking, or maybe let's say they got a 7 band in writing in their first attempt, but they did not get a 7 in speaking. And then in the next attempt they get 7 in speaking, but then they get 6.5 in writing. So standing on the edge, you have to understand that you are not meeting the required mandates by the IELTS examiners. You have to understand you need some guidance. Look for sage advice. You can check out some of the advices and the things that we have posted on our social media, which is facebook.com/IELTS/sage. Start working on your skills, whatever they may. If you're lacking with your writing, you need to make sure you write more. If you're lacking in your speaking, you need to make sure you speak more, but you need to make sure you listen to others as well. Like, there are so many good videos online which help you on how you can improvise on your speaking. So watch them and learn from them. Don't fall for scammers or deviate from legit path. So as we've already discussed, there is no IELTS certificate without IELTS examination, and there is no such things as guaranteed IELTS score if you study with any institute anywhere. So all these things, the guarantees, the certification without examination, it's all a scam. I practice this personally. You need to have a good playlist. I love listening to good music, and I have my own playlist. So you can have a good playlist. Make sure you take frequent breaks. Do what makes you happy. Go out, have a walk, talk with some friends. These are all things that can help you overcome your depression. It's just a test. You need to understand that you might be lacking at something, and you need to overcome that, and that's how you're going to crack IELTS. You need to make sure you listen to the sage, the people who have given IELTS. That is myself, Urvil. Okay, I don't want to boast about myself, but it did take me a while to understand what I need to do in order to crack, and that is what I share with my students. Sometimes I get a question from some aspirant who wants to join me, and he says, Professor, you have given 3 attempts at IELTS, whereas there is another mentor who's given first attempt and they got 8 bands. How are you better than them? And I said, maybe the person who's giving the first attempt had good background education, so they must have studied in a really good school. But as far as I'm concerned, I failed so many times, I figured out an easier way. So my 3 attempts in IELTS has taught me so much, and this is what I teach my students: why I failed, what failed me, and what are the loopholes that you need to take care of. And these are the things, these are my basic platforms on why I initiated IELTS 8777, because I know what it feels like when you fail, and I know what it feels like when you rise up from being a failure. This is what makes us the best. Our coaching programs are focused on using the right techniques. This is what we figured out from the failures we've had. All the mentors, including myself, I consider that we are quite aware about the IELTS examination and how we should perform in it. It's not just about the language, it's also about developing mindset. So it's not just about English. You need to make sure you perform given task in a specific way. You need to practice daily. You need to avoid pitfalls and looking into the mistakes and improvements. So you want to make sure you proofread your essays. You want to make sure you listen to yourself speaking. Understand what can be improvised. You need to have ability to self-evaluate. Unless until you do this, you'll be stuck at a particular level. You need to self-evaluate. Understand where you made mistakes, why you made mistakes, and only then you can rise. You need to give direction to your skills. We are trying to teach you all these things. We are trying to teach students from the mistakes we have made and how we have become good at what we are. And this is what our training program is all about. I hope this video was helpful to you. IELTS is not a rocket science. However, you don't need a rocket scientist to crack it. You just need a qualified coach who has cracked IELTS with remarkable bands themselves. So several times when I'm talking with aspirants, I just say, you just need to have a tutor who's good with training and who has got good bands. Like, even if they are not selecting me, this is an advice I still give to so many students, that okay, if you don't want to go with us, that's still okay, but you need to look for these 2 things in any mentor. Even if a person who's teaching you is a rocket scientist, it's not going to make any difference, because you are not applying for being a rocket scientist. You're aiming at 8777, and you need somebody who has got 8777. All right. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you comment and let us know what you think about the video. We appreciate your time, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. We are trying to put in good videos that can help other aspirants. Thank you. Bye-bye. If you're keen on cracking IELTS with exceptional scores, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Also join our social media, where we are posting some really useful content for our followers. Thank you. Bye-bye.